Hello, my name is Daniel Scrady. I'm a pickleball fanatic, and this is a gold medal match here I'm going to be reviewing. I'm basically just going to yap to the camera and hope you can learn something from it. So here's my first video review, official first take.
Gold medal match 002.
Okay. So with this video, I'm going to be doing emphasis mainly on thirds and kind of like the choices and how it's making the point kind of turn out. So let's go to this first point here again. Good serve, short return, and he decides to drive this. So when you get a freebie third like this, I do not suggest driving this because it's so short. The goal is ultimately to make it up to the kitchen, and because it's so low below the net, you're not going to be able to win because if you're hitting it really hard, it's probably going to go out. And so I think he should drop this ball, and I think this gal in blue should have better punished him for attacking that below the net. But yeah, he still got in the kitchen. That was fine. Good dink and rally here. And then a poor decision on the speed up. This guy's really outstretched here and is trying to pull it across his body. That's just impatient. Next point here, what we got? Okay, good return. Good drop. That's a nice drop. Yeah, that's just a good point. Good leave. Good counter. Okay. So this is kind of a reoccurring thing, both in this match, but also just in mixed doubles, that the guy really likes to come over and take this third when it's kind of a weaker return, and he thinks he can do something special with it. So he's pretty far out of position here and decides to drive it. I think his goal is to get it to this gal in blue who's pretty far back, but he's not successful in doing that. Her partner's able to cover. And so because he was so far out of position, wasn't able to get the drive to her, I think this was the wrong shot, and he gets burned pretty bad because of it. So with this shot going back, I probably would drop this spinny with some topspin to the gal in blue coming in. And if the guy in white was going to try and help her out, he'd be really stretching for that and probably is going to pop that up. But it's kind of just really high risk to drive this with how far out of position this guy is right now, and he gets punished for it. Deep return. Okay, so this is a very important third decision that we can learn from here, and something I've been seeing a lot of the other YouTubers talk about is you see the pros, when they get a really deep return now, they're not dropping that shot anymore. They're tending to hit a drive, and this is the hope that you're going to get. The hope with this is that you're going to get a shorter fist shot, and that if you're hitting a drop from your back foot anyways, it's going to be tough to hit a really quality shot, but then also like have time to move in anyways. So with this shot specifically, I think the gal in blue should have drove this because it was pretty high, and where she was making contact anyways, it's going to be really hard to hit a quality drop because of where the apex is. The ball's going to kind of stay high instead of going from low to high and dropping in. It's going to stay high. So even if she manages to get into the kitchen, it's still going to bounce really high. So I think she should have driven this, and she loses the point because of that choice in the third. Yeah, it's a really good thing we can learn from, and something that's getting talked about a lot in pickleball. It's kind of fun to see the game changing from, oh, you get a deep shot, always hit a drop, and that's not really the case anymore. Let's look at this third here. That's a really good serve. He's out of position, and that's kind of like a drive, I think. He was hitting it pretty high to him, but because he managed to get it to this guy that's moving in, he's not able to hit a super good shot. That's a weaker, shorter fist shot for this guy in the white to get in. So yeah, there's the drive and drop combo there. He's getting into the kitchen, and that's just a pop-up from her, but they got in successfully. That's a good point. Okay. Good serve. Another weak return, and he decides to drive this again. I think this woman in the blue should be swinging really hard at this and punishing him for driving this. And unfortunately, the team that returned that lost that, but I think it's just because he mishit it. And, this choice of this guy in the pink over here to drive that, I think they should have lost that point. Good return. Yep, so there, that's the right choice there. He hits a good return here, and this guy in pink is really far off his back foot. And look what he decides to do. He decides to drive it, gets a weaker fifth, and she's able to drop it, and they're able to get in. So that's exactly what you want to do here. You can see how far off his back foot he is. He's not going to be able to hit a good drop from that position. And so he drives that, gets a weaker fifth, and they're into the kitchen. So there's an example of it working well. Missed serve, that's okay. There's a successful drive and drop combo here. It's even a high drive, but because the person that's moving in is hitting it, he's not able to get a lot of power on that drop and get in. And that's kind of just a rush speed up. Because look, he's way far out of position here. I guess it was a dead dink, but you're playing against a good player across from you, and he read that well. So probably dinking that, just being more patient, would have been the right choice. Short return. Okay. So I think this gal's short return here is why they lost this. But this is kind of the same scenario of the guy coming over to take this weaker return. But because this guy in the pink is not following the ball fully to the sideline, which he's kind of responsible for covering, this is him really full outstretched, and they lose that point. So that's a good choice for this guy in white to drive this just because of this guy being far out of position. But if his feet were better planted, he should not have been driving that, just kind of taking the freebie of a short return and dropping in. But they win that point because the guy in pink didn't cover his side. Short. Yeah, so this is kind of a bad drop from her here, and I think it's kind of a technique issue. She starts her swing really high here, but when the ball's on your side, it's just a lot easier to put your paddle down beneath the ball. Kind of hard for me to demonstrate right now while I'm sitting in a reclining chair, but this is too far or too high up for her to start her drop here. Kind of even looks like she's going to drive it, and doesn't get her paddle head fully beneath the ball, and so the drop kind of stays high, and she loses that pretty easily. But I think it was a fine choice to try and drop that. Okay, so this is again guy trying to do too much. He's really far out of position here, and he's trying to drive it to this gal who's unwinding the stack, I think. Yeah, they're unwinding the stack here, and she was out of position. But because this gal's partner here in the pink, he's able to cover the court for her and defend for her. The guy in white loses this because of that poor shot selection there. It's pretty easy for the guy in pink to cover this. I think the right shot here, shot selection-wise, would have... It's fine if he wants to take this with his forehand. He's anticipating it faster, and it seems like he's quite a bit better than this gal in blue. But to try and spin this to this person, this gal who's running in slowly, to spin this cross court to her feet and hope for a pop-up. But driving it while he was super far out of position was not the right shot. And he didn't get it to the person that was moving. Short return, and he drives it again. So I don't know why he's continuing to drive this, and he misses this into the net because you can't drive this hard. It's below the net. If you do drive it hard, it's going to go out. So that's a freebie into the kitchen, and he's deciding to drive this, and that's just the wrong shot. And he's probably thinking like, oh, it's a short return. Like I need to be aggressive with this. And like, yeah, you can be somewhat aggressive, but you're also like with a dink that you're moving around. But because you're on the run, it's gonna be really hard to do that. Um, so you want to just drop that into the middle and get into the kitchen. Okay, this is another good learning moment. So this is a good deep return here, and I think this is either a lob attempt, which third shot lobs are never really a good idea, but a lob kind of drop attempt, something she's trying to get a better shot. But again, she should be trying to drive this ball when it's deeper and hope for a shorter fifth. And based on where she's making contact with this, you don't want to be aggressive with a lob here because you're not. I mean, you're playing against a guy with a good overhead. It's just not going to work. But if this was a drop attempt, again, she's making contact too high, and so she's not going to be able to get a good drop into the kitchen. So right choice there would be to drive it. That's a good reset. And then her partner, this guy is a little, in the pink, is a little too aggressive. He read that it was off the net, and there's like obvious confusion over there. But I think he drove this too high instead of kind of just putting it to the open space. And his partner wasn't into the kitchen yet. So I think when you get that shorter ball, kind of drop it, let the point develop, because the ultimate goal is to get up to the kitchen. He tried to win that too fast. But I think this team on this side over here lost that because of that poor third shot choice. Just bad drop and reset. That's okay. I think she was trying to hit the right shots, which is what we're looking for. They call that out. Yeah, so this is this third here from her. This is a drop attempt, and that's the same thing, like just bad technique. Her paddle's not under the ball, and that just stays really high. And he's not able to reset that. And maybe like this is the same scenario that she should be trying to drive this, because if it's a good deep return, she didn't really move her feet at all if you watch this. Yeah. So if she was gonna drop that, I would suggest taking another step off the line and letting the ball descend a little bit, so that way you can drop it in from a better height. But I think the right choice here would have been to drive this and hope for a shorter fifth. Good drop, high reset. That's good. It's really evident, like in this match, how much they're trying to keep it away from the guys. But a lot of times in this mixed doubles, when they're being too aggressive there, you want to put it to their backhand and get it behind them, because they've been successful with that for the most part so far. And but like in this rally here, what I'm talking about is she's just trying to, or she was just trying to work so hard to keep it away from him. Okay, this is the best learning moment from this match, third shot-wise. This is a good serve, good-ish deep return. But I'm actually going to slow this down. Playback speed, we're going to go 0.5. Okay. So we want to look at where this ball is going to bounce. That's its peak right there, and this is a drop attempt. There's no possible way that she's going to be able to hit a good drop that's going to stay low and not attackable from this height where she's making contact right now. So she should be driving this. And it stays super high throughout, which is what we would guess. And then I think because this guy in the pink here thought she was going to drive it, he started to move in quite a bit. He's looking like, yeah, that's an easy shot. He's moving in, and then he gets burned. And she's kind of seeing like, oh, yeah, that was the wrong shot. But here, this should definitely be a drive. And she did a good job trying to put it to the person that was moving in, but she didn't successfully get it there. The guy in white knew where it was going to go, and he was just able to put that down. So she should be trying to drive that ball, especially when it's pretty high like that. And like if the contact thing I'm talking about isn't making a lot of sense, like you don't want to you don't want to make contact with a drop really high up. You want to let the ball to start to descend. Um, and so like if you're making contact with a drop really high, it's gonna stay high, and so it's just basically impossible to hit a good drop. Be easier, yeah, if I wasn't in a reclining chair and I could demonstrate, but I think it makes sense. This is a really good point. Moving the ball around really well. Yeah, this is fun pickleball. Okay, so my last final learning moment from this, because I think this video is getting a little bit long, is that with this rally here, they lose this because that's a good reset there. He pulls this far cross court, and then this eye guy is able to get there and feel confident he can also pull back far cross court. But then this shot here, this is a desperation ATP. Where he started this, he's way far out of position here, and he's had to he's way far out of position right here. He was even like leaning. He's leaning in because he hit a good cross court shot over there, but then he's had to run way back behind him, and that's with how close this fence is. That's going to be a miracle of a ATP. So he should be trying to reset this ball back into the middle. But yeah, I hope we were able to learn something, and thanks for watching.